Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time again. Pull out your pencil and paper. We're going to write some letters to God this morning here. With the man who's always reaching out. I think he's got a direct connection here. Dr. Trin, how are you, sir? If you don't, your guest surely does. I mean, I
don't have a direct connection. My direct connection is through Sister Thuy.
Is that it? Okay, well then that's the secret here.
No, I get my direction through you guys too. So
too often, I think my letters go either they're in the junk mail. You know, I think mine go to the junk folder here, and I have to get God to go search for them here.
Oh my word! Are we on live on Facebook Live yet?
Oh, let's do that. That's absolutely here, right? Okay, we're live on YouTube here. Yeah, let's get that.
There's another candidate here for my memory loss.
Boy, I'll say.
I know.
Here, I got it all set up, and I was all ready to go, and I fire up YouTube. And
Dr. Trent, I'm afraid to be your case study.
Ooh, no worries. We hold on here. No worries. I'll give you the answers before I ask you. I'm just kidding.
Thuy, right? Is that how we spell Sister Thuy?
Yes, Thuy.
Yeah.
It sounds better than dung, that's for sure.
Where do those names come from? Do they mean anything in Vietnamese? They must have some meaning here.
You're the one that asked me because, it's actually
or something.
What, Dr. Trent, I tell people that it means beautiful, and I made it up. but the name is after a famous singer in Vietnam. So you see, people, if you see Thuy, it's after a famous singer in Vietnam. So however, I like to make it up too. So I say it means beautiful.
So what does Dr. Trin's first name mean? I know what it means in English, which doesn't sound very good.
Crap.
But your parents, why did they pick you that name? I mean, that obviously
thought I was a crappy son. Yeah.
That is not true.
That's not true.
So what's the meaning, Dr. Trent?
It must mean something. Obviously, it means something different. You wouldn't name your child that if you.
Maybe I came out smelly.
He's not going to go there. I guess he's not going to answer.
Smell very good. This kid smells like, yes.
Now in Vietnam, do people snicker when you say that name, or does that mean something totally different?
No, Vietnam's kind of normal, isn't it?
It's a common name. Yeah, it's a common name.
It's a common name.
Or guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's like Joe.
Yeah.
Just like Paul.
Paul actually is from Paulus, which is Latin. I never knew this. I'm 6'4", and it turns out that Paulus is small in Latin. So I think they named me wrong here. I think I came up with the wrong name. But obviously I got it because nearly everybody in my era, they use biblical names. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Paul, Peter, everybody's name was one of those.
And look at how you turned out.
Yeah, look at how you turn out, Paul. What happened?
I don't know that.
You were given a biblical name, so what happened?
Yeah, and in fact, that's why they named me Paul Timothy, because Timothy was Paul's follower in the Gospels here. So I don't know. And Timothy's a very Irish name, but I never cared for. I wasn't nuts about either one of the names, to be honest.
That's why you're doing this show every week, just to.
Finally, there's a purpose to my name here. Otherwise, it was just.
Yes.
I was just one of a million, kids named after names in the Bible. Now nobody does that.
So you're making a difference, while other Pauls are still searching.
They're still small. Right. I've risen to the occasion here.
Yeah.
Well, I want to throw this out today because I got to be honest. So we're part of the show is being honest and getting people to be open up and think about things. I really last night sat down and came home and my wife says, "Why are you so down?" And I said, "I guess I'm bombarded." And part of it was because I had spent some time on Facebook, which was a mistake. I should just stay away from that. And the news that I was reading on Facebook and everything. We're taping this in the middle of August for those listening later of 2021 was so overwhelmingly negative that it brought me down. And I'll give you 3 or 4 quick examples. Just, this is what hit me as I'm looking at the news. number one, COVID cases going back up, and nobody seems, the 50% that won't or don't get vaccinated ain't budging, and therefore the variant's going to keep evolving, and maybe it'll get deadlier, and maybe it won't get deadlier, but there's a chance it could turn into something really nasty. It's already, this new one's nastier than the original one, and then I look at one of my high school friends, a girl I thought was kind of cute, and she's back in Michigan, rabid Trump supporter, rabid anti-COVID. It's nonsense. It's a joke. Not going to get a vaccine. And what do I see on Facebook? Somebody sends a message. She's in ICU, struggling to live because she got COVID. After denying it, so many of these people denying it, and now, boom, it comes, slaps you in the face. So COVID and that thing, and I felt, I'll go into a couple other ones in a second here, but that one in particular just really threw me, because I felt bad for her. She was my best friend's sister, but I also felt kind of, well, you deserve it, you dope. And I thought, well, that's not a good Catholic Christian thing to think, like if she dies, well, see, I told you. And I thought, how do you handle that kind of stuff here? Let's talk about that one first, and I'll throw out some other ones here. Negative news today. Negative news. And so I almost felt like looking up in God saying, really? Really? Yeah. Well, how do you answer negative news like that?
So, when you think about COVID cases, it's out of our control.
Right.
And, I think we're still trying to understand.
But not the vaccine. The vaccine is in our control. If God's given us any direction, it's take care of yourselves here.
It is in our control, but for me, it's more of like the lack of trust, the lack of information. How are we going out there, taking the time to really spend time with the people? And, when you love somebody, you will want to do something to make a difference. And, I think with kids, information is what will get kids to succeed. And, for us, how patient are we taking the time to sit with people to inform them?
Now, am I allowed to disagree with the nun here? Because every time I did, I got my knuckles wrapped.
No.
So
no, you can disagree. But I think even though they know the information, but they have a sense of belief that they want to stay true to where they believe, and it takes time to engage.
I say, here's the fallacy that I see in that, is that we are, for my friend and many of my friends and family, because I grew up in, the heart of this anti-vaccination, anti-expert, anti-science, anti-climate change, Mexican Muslims, big cities. They've just got a whole long list that they don't trust and they don't like, and they're not going to listen to any of these people. And here's what I say, why I disagree with that. Because it's no longer, they're not living in a world based on facts. I don't trust your facts. I don't believe your facts. Facts, fake news. They're living in a world of feelings, just like little kids. I'm scared, I'm upset, I'm frightened, I'm angry, and they're reacting totally out of emotion and not reason. And that's dangerous, because that's what leads to all sorts of, so we'll go to the number 2 here. Afghanistan falls. Anybody who had any facts knew that we couldn't sustain this for 20 years. I'm sorry, Dr. Trin and Sister Thuy, any more than we could sustain the South Vietnamese government, because it was corrupt, because it didn't have much support. And ultimately, the people who were fighting on the other side were fanatics and would die for their cause. And our guys, some believe that, but many didn't, and quickly faded away. And maybe I'm sure that's offensive to the South Vietnamese community. We fought, we did everything, but South Vietnam fell as quickly as Afghanistan fell. And I'm looking at Dr. Trin's Facebook post, and there he is. He juxtaposed the two pictures that look almost identical. The exact same helicopter leaving Saigon, the exact same helicopter taking the last people out. And what did we wonderful Americans do after we convinced everybody to fight with us? We're leaving a lot of them behind, and they're going to get killed or rounded up, as Dr. Trin can talk about at length what happened to his family afterwards. You know, I just feel angry about all of that again. Why did we go through this again? Why did we, for 20 years we were there and we couldn't ever improve the situation, and now we just quietly leave and abandon everybody who relied on us? I don't feel good about that.
And you need an answer from us?
I don't know how to process. So my letter to God is angry. Why aren't these people listening? Well, then fine, they get what they deserve. Why are we doing all this stuff? There's an anger in all of this stuff.
Yeah, my answer, there's a difference between human choices.
Mm-hmm.
And when we know and understand God, and especially my life as a religious, and I think about the religious that are out there in those countries, they are with the people that are suffering. And I really trust that God is with the people that are suffering right now. God will not abandon them. They will feel that they have been abandoned.
They're going to feel like they're abandoned. It looks like they're being abandoned. We're certainly abandoning. We can't handle it anymore. We're tired of it. And we're angry at them for not standing up and fighting more and picking up the mantle and doing it. And at the same time, American public says enough. And we're pulling out. And
sometimes that's the difference of human choices, you know, that's out of our control. Mm-hmm. That, you know.
And so I think
the human choices with the COVID. Yeah. People are making those choices that they don't want to be vaccinated. All the information, all the sciences, all of the people that are being they're in ICU right now are the unvaccinated, but that's their choice.
But they're not just hurting themselves; they're hurting me potentially and the ones I love, because they allow the bug to keep evolving, morphing into something more. They're the human petri dish that allows this thing to keep changing. If we would all take the vaccine, nobody can argue with it. The bug would be gone. But the fact is, we won't or don't.
We have a problem with trust.
Trust.
I think
you hit the key word.
It really boils down to trust, and it really boils down to who you trust, right? And who you distrust at the same time, because even if pre-pandemic, right, even before COVID, you were somewhat distrustful of your government. Mm-hmm. COVID just made that worse.
And science, right? And experts,
or
all
science,
these people,
or whatever it is,
yeah.
or even before COVID, if you were trustful of your government, then COVID helped. Your government was a partner in helping you. But if you came in pre-COVID with an attitude that you don't trust your government, and for good reasons, maybe it's the politicians who are in charge, right? Maybe the politicians who were in charge was not on your side, right? Or vice versa, right? And if you came in with that mindset, all you did was you applied that mindset to whatever the situation was. If the situation is COVID, then that mindset came into COVID, right? That trust or distrust mindset came to COVID.
So let's carry it over to this conversation. I don't think people trust God anymore. I don't think they trust that their prayers are going to be listened to. Mm-hmm. I think we've lost. I think Dr. Trin's 110% correct. It isn't lack of information. It isn't confusion. And maybe was some of it in the beginning, but it's lack of trust. I don't trust that you're giving me the right answer. I don't trust that this is safe. I don't trust that you know what you're doing. I trust somebody else who's telling me different. I trust my own instincts that's telling me it doesn't feel right. You can show me all the facts in the world and substitute any of these problems. The last one is climate change. You know, we're now, they declared an emergency for the first time, I think, ever on the Colorado River. We're going to get some huge cuts unless it rains like crazy this fall here. And we're all blind. We're all going to, and it's going to be anger. It's going to be You didn't listen. We didn't change. We didn't
How
do
do we
anything.
build trust, though, Thuy?
I don't think
And
we trust
especially trust in
anybody,
God.
anything, and I'm not sure we trust God anymore.
For me, it's relational building trust, taking the time, respecting the people's opinion, continue to engage, and don't give up. It's when we choose to walk away that we give up on the relationship because we disagree with their thinking, their standing. But it takes, for me, and also our own actions and our behaviors. Are we saying what we're doing as well, in the sense that how are we doing? How are we engaging with people? And are we living that life that is true to
And I
who
think
we
we
say
see
we
too
are?
many of our politicians. I'm sorry, I tend to be more of a liberal and more of a Democratic, although I'm registered an independent. And I'm disgusted with, what happened. Our governor was telling everybody to mask up and do everything, and then he gets caught at a fancy restaurant, and that started this whole recall thing because he and his wealthy cronies, his lobbyists, they're doing exactly what they told everybody not to do. And how foolish, how stupid. So they've lost the trust of the people. And now he's a good chance he's going to get recalled over something that's silly, that's stupid, that image that he was being real tough to the public, but, do as I say, not as I do. Not the first politician to fall into that trap. And so, again, we don't trust. And I'll tell you, the other word that comes to my mind, not just trust, is enough. People have had enough with COVID. They've had enough with Afghanistan. They've had enough with all the worries about climate change. I've had enough with religion. No, I haven't, but many just say, enough. I've had enough with it. None of it works. I don't trust
And
it.
yet sometimes during these dark moments is where we draw closer to God. Because of COVID last year, just because of COVID and the shutdown, we started a Zoom prayer group that is still ongoing on a weekly basis. Just because of COVID, we started a Zoom kind of like Bible study group weekly that started. And so yeah, some people are like looking at the world and how bad it is.
We're just saying,
and they're
over
like,
the board.
how can God exist in this world
Right.
of evil? And yet there are others who run to God.
So I'll tell you, I'll give you a perfect example of what you're saying. When 9/11 happened, I've told this story before, maybe not on this show, but when 9/11 happened, planes crashed in the building. We're all shook up, like it happened to us, because they played the image over and over and over again, and people were shook up. And I had a bar at the time, an Irish pub, and we thought, I quickly ran down to the bar that day because I thought, no, this is going to be a disaster. No one's going to come in, and last thing you want to do is go to a bar in a moment. I was completely wrong. The place was packed. Nobody wanted to be alone. Everybody wanted to be together. They weren't drinking their problems away. They just didn't. It was a place to go. And then that night, I'm a Catholic. The Catholic church I go to here in South Orange County had a special mass. And I don't know why. I thought, I'm going to go to it. And I wasn't alone. It was overflowing. And I don't know what we thought was going to happen at the bar or at the church, but we were scared. And we were seeking comfort in community. I haven't seen that in COVID. Maybe it's because it forced us apart, but I haven't seen the bars overflowing. I haven't seen the churches packed. I haven't seen people turning to God in any of these crises that are, one after another, which is like I looked at my Facebook, climate change, Afghanistan, COVID, on and on and on, recalls and everything. It's like negative news. And I don't see people running to say, well, let's go, maybe some, but the majority of people are just saying, enough. I'm going to turn it all off. I don't care. Go ahead and die. If you got COVID, you foolish person, you go ahead. We're going to pull out of Afghanistan. We tried for 20 years. Go ahead. I'm not going to listen to any of it, climate change or anything. I'm just not going to listen. I'm done. I'm overwhelmed. I'm done.
I think what you notice normally is like you show up to a church during COVID year, but what you don't see is, you don't see how God is at work. the miracles that happen to
No, I don't see how God is at work right now.
exactly. And so for me, I attended online mass this past a whole year, and heard stories upon stories of how people needed a place, and online service was probably the easiest for people to find comfort. Families, kids that are never home, and now they seek comfort and refuge with their families. And families, parents took advantage of prayer. How are they coming together as a cohesive unit, as a family? I think when Dr. Trin and we were doing COVID, collecting PPE and trying to really engage with our community. And so there's so many people come out, doing the mask. Oh my gosh. It was a whole village. Millions of masks were being made. Mm-hmm. And right. These people were so generous with their times and energy and resources. If you really take the time, you really receive the humanity that was in place last year, where people had this heart of service.
There was a moment, I saw it, and we had people on shows where we tried to come together. We're going to pull together. We're going to get through this. We're going to get it up. But somewhere along the way, we got angry. It got politicized, and we got tired. And now people don't want to hear about, I don't want to hear about any, don't tell me I got to cut back water. Don't tell me I got to wear a mask again. Oh, I'm not going to do it. Don't tell me I got to get vaccinated. Don't tell me I got to spend another $1 on some project in Afghanistan or whatever, or I got to help the needy, or we're in this very selfish, and it's maybe it's overwhelmed. I think that's part of it. We're just can't handle anymore, so I just shut it all off. I don't care. The hell with everything.
I don't think people want to shut off. It's more of, what do you do? Grieving.
That's my wife. My wife got mad at me and barked at me. I was saying something, and then she said, "We just knock it off. That's all you ever talk about. It's negative stuff here." I'm like, "Look at the news. It's overwhelming." Well, there's nothing we can do about it. So a lot of people are just turning it off and going about la la la, like everything's fine. Maybe that's the correct answer. I don't know. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angered. I'm feeling some of what everybody else is feeling there. Yeah.
Yes. I think you represent a good amount of numbers of people you represent, but there's also other people that want to do good, want to see good, and a part of the system that create change. I would not spend time.
Are the embodiment of that. I never see anger. I don't hear, "Damn it, just take the vaccine. Damn it, I can't believe we're doing this again. Damn it." I mean, don't you ever just want to just scream and say, "I'm mad as hell and I don't want to take it anymore," to quote that famous movie?
There's a lot of issues that I want to scream and yell. However, it takes one step at a time, because it goes back to information, trust, lack of consciousness. Mm-hmm. Who are they surrounded themselves with? And it's mostly the community that makes them feel safe, that empower them to believe what they believe is true. So you don't want to question people's right or wrong. It's just that this is where their community, what they believe.
But you hit another word there. You're part of our community. You feel attached to a community. Dr. Trin is certainly in the community, volunteering, doing many other things. I think too many Americans, what we think is our greatest strength is our individualism, freedom, personal choice. I can do whatever I want to do. That's what makes this country great. I can pursue my own path. I can do my own thing. And yet right now we could use a little community, and we instead are, many of us are retreating to even more individualism. Not only don't I believe you, I'm not going to do it. And you can't make me, like a little kid. I'm just
they probably disagree. They probably disagree with you, because it's not just one or two people that are individualistic. You're dealing with a huge number of people that believe in this. Mm-hmm. And so it's a systemic that believe in this.
Our greatest strength is becoming our greatest weakness at this moment right now. I wonder how the rest of the world is handling it. I don't know. I don't read about what's happening in Vietnam. Are they angry
They're-
at their government? Are they distrustful of their government? Or are they, because
No,
it's a
they're-
much more communal society?
They're fighting for their lives right now. That's what's happening in Vietnam. The COVID cases over there, and you're dealing with people with poverty issues over there that they don't have a system in place to support them. So they don't have a structure like the way we have it here in the U.S.
There's
And
no
so-
safety, no safety net.
No safety net.
It's like if you shut down, right? At least you go to your fridge and there's maybe a few days worth of food. That may not exist in Vietnam.
Yeah.
You may not have a fridge.
Yeah.
And so they are literally fighting for their lives.
So they don't,
Yeah.
because I thought that the cases were early on, we said that some of these Southeast Asian countries were examples of they were doing something right because they weren't getting the contagion at the levels they were.
Yes, they were until Delta came around.
And then that one changed everything.
And now Delta is spreading like wildfire because these countries don't have the same access to vaccines that we do.
They really don't. They,
don't.
what's the average
No, they don't.
in Vietnam? I mean, how do you reach these people scattered in rural communities and villages? And
You
stuff
don't.
here? Yeah.
You don't.
You don't.
That's the privilege that we have here that people don't really understand the privilege that we have.
So doesn't that make
versus
you
other
angry
countries.
again? We've got the privilege, and we're letting vaccines expire. I read that vaccines are expiring all over the country because people won't take them. They did a thing in Missouri. I think it was the Missouri State Fair recently. I think it was Missouri, or was Arkansas or Missouri, one of the states. And they showed up and had all these vaccines. Nobody took it, and they threw them away because they don't last forever. And I thought,
Right.
isn't that a crime to throw away this precious gift of life, and we're just throwing it away when it could be others begging for it around the world and they can't get it?
Yeah.
I don't like where we're at. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like this head I'm in right here. I want to get out of this here.
And it takes us to show up and continue to, like today show, you know, there might be 50, 100, 200 people that will engage in this radio talk show. And something what we say today will resonate with them. And who else will be going out there to make a difference, to engage with the community? And, you know, for me, if I were to receive a phone call from someone that's in ICU that have not been vaccinated, would they ask me to come and pray with them and their family because they're scared right now? I would show up. You
wouldn't say,
because
you deserved it. I'm not coming, you dirty rat. You had a chance. You could have done this, but you got what you deserved.
Because at any moment you don't know what it means to them. And that's the time that relationship takes time.
So relationships are broken, trust is in tatters, and we're all left to our own devices, and we're feeling overwhelmed and angry, left, right, and center. I'm angry at those who won't take the vaccine, and those who won't take the vaccine are angry at me and people like me because I keep saying, just take the darn thing and keep pushing them. So we're coming to confrontation points here, and that further separates us and further divides. I was reading. This is a silly example, but I think it's a true example. Jennifer Aniston, you know, these celebrities live their whole life so we know every little aspect of their intimate thoughts. And she's become gained attention for saying, I'm cutting people out of my life who don't get vaccinated. I'm just not going to deal with them anymore. They're that foolish. I don't want to be around them, and I don't want to talk to them. Wow, we're gonna really isolate and cut each other off if we. And I sort of feel like that.
That's a call from God. That's a
call from God. He's saying,
Yeah.
knock it off here, like my wife.
Yeah, just knock it off. You're being a bad boy.
Being a bad boy.
Gallium shot.
So let's pivot. That's where I'm at. I feel a lot of people are
So
like that.
I want to acknowledge your feelings, and it's
That's a
real.
start. That's a start.
Real feelings that you're angry, you're upset, lives are taken, and then it's taking the time to allow you to vent.
Right.
And you know who who's really taking the time to allow you to vent, right?
So is that what the purpose of letters to God? I always feel I can't write an angry letter to
This
God.
is about Paul's letter to God, not ours.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here, Dr. Trent.
My letter to God would be angry today here, and it would be like, really? You know? Is anybody listening? And how do I subside? I wanna follow your example. I want to lead a good life. How do I get out of this angry?
And it is healing. And what will it take to like heal what has happened to you at this point? And what do you need to do for yourself? You know, it is. I agree with your wife. Kind of let's just turn off the TV for a few days until you are at a better place, right? Because you're just taking yourself into that place where you don't want to be.
I don't want to be, but it's hard.
And she doesn't want to take you there either. To continue to let you just be in this hole.
Or
like,
do we? The other thing that could happen is. And you're going to see this on the left and the right. You're going to see confrontation. You're going to see people take to the streets. You're going to see riots. You're going to see demonstrations. You're going to see, they had an anti-vax thing, and other people showed up, and there was fights. And I feel like this could bubble over into something bigger here again.
And if we don't take care of ourselves, that's what will happen, because we will make decisions that we will regret. And so
let me tell you an honest, the perfect time to tell you one more story, and then I'll shut up. I get it. I get off the thing, and you can lead me back to some quieter place. Maybe it's just go sit in the corner.
I'm learning a lot from Sister Thuy, because I'm learning that she actually acknowledges your feelings. She says, I would like to acknowledge your feeling. That's really cool, because I would just say, hey, get over it.
Right. I completely agree with her, because I've learned a long time ago, when you argue with somebody who's feeling sad, if I tell a little kid who's scared, just get over it. Then they feel stupid or they feel angry. Well, that's the way I feel. I'm sorry if I'm being stupid, but that's the way I feel.
That's pretty cool to acknowledge.
You have to acknowledge. I've always said that.
That must be a girl thing.
It must be a girl thing.
It's like, I hear you, I see you, I'm with you.
Ooh, wait, even if I disagree with you?
Yeah, because you acknowledge their human dignity, that they're angry.
Okay, see.
I always thought politicians should do the same for all my angry relatives back in the Midwest that either Bernie or Trump tapped into, that anger, that feeling of abandonment, that the world screwed us over. Very prevalent back there. Towns are disappearing, jobs are disappearing, the lifestyle they knew is disappearing in so many ways, and they got to lash out and blame somebody. And what I always thought was the key was politicians on the left and on the right should go back and say, I hear what you're saying, and I acknowledge you. That's the way you feel. But then let me guide you out of that. It's not as bad. It's not what you think. It's something different. But I'm not going to say you're a fool. So I'll give you one last example. This is a very powerful one. Maybe this started this. My wife comes home very upset because she's Pollyannish. Is that still a word that people understand?
That?
Pollyanna is, it's an old.
Always happy.
Always happy.
Oh,
everything is good. Yeah.
Like on CBD all the time.
Yeah. Merry Sunshine, oh, well, everything's good. A little Merry Sunshine. Yeah. Always looking at the positive and everything here.
Mm-hmm.
She came home visibly shook up. And I said, what happened? And she said, because, nothing makes a man angrier than your wife comes home and mistreated here. And so I'm going to go out and I'll rescue you. I'll save you. What happened? And so she tells me this story that I can't believe, but I'll share it here because I think it's exactly what I've been talking about. She went down to Laguna Niguel to pick up something, and she had a mask on. We're both in our late 60s, and so even though we're vaccinated, we're wearing a mask to protect us and protect everybody else, and we're a little more dutiful in believing that this stuff's true. She just walks in. She's going down to this store to pick up something. And this 30-year-old and his 4-year-old daughter pipe up out of the blue and say, we don't wear masks around here, lady. She goes, I beg your pardon?
Wow.
And she says, wearing a mask is stupid. And the little girl pipes up and echoes her dad, says, yeah, lady, it's stupid to wear a mask.
Wow.
Out of nowhere, my wife, who's a grandmother, who's 70, a little old lady, is like shocked. You're talking to me? And she says, well, I think it's a personal choice. Isn't that what you guys always say? It's a personal choice. Well, it's a stupid choice. Get out of here.
Really?
Yeah. They said
This from a kid?
this from a father. And as soon as the father says it, the daughter mimics it. This 4-year-old girl is telling what happened to respect your elders? What happened to just shut up and do your own thing? They're calling for a fight. And then she got mad and said it, and she looked at the little girl and she said, I'm so sorry you're listening to your father because he's so stupid. And I feel bad for you, or something like that. And then the father was like, I thought he was going to hit me. This 30-year-old guy's going to hit this little lady. And she said, I was so shook up. What the hell were they thinking? And what is he training this little girl to do? To call people out and call them stupid. And I mean, wow, I thought, there it is. That's the place we're at. There's too much of that. I never saw that in my life ever. Nobody ever came up and just called me stupid. They might have thought it.
Maybe you should have looked at them and say, I acknowledge your feelings.
Yeah, right. If she'd done that, she said, well, I understand why you feel that way. And
so a part of it is people feel the lack of power.
Yes, that's part of it too.
And so this is their opportunity to, and I think that's what's hard with the vulnerable communities, that they don't have the power. And so people just go up and say, hey, your wife was in that situation. She is older, and this young man who's much younger, that he thinks he's entitled, and it's that power that he.
And he's teaching his daughter. It's bad enough that he's doing this, but he's doing this proudly in front of her, and she's proudly mimicking him. And I thought, therein lies the problem. We're training youth to hate. And they learn, hate doesn't come natural, as somebody said. Nobody's born hating somebody. You acquire hatred. Oh, don't you know they're a different color, they're a different race, they're different, they're not as smart, they're different somehow, and pretty soon.
And Paul, and I want to say I'm proud of your wife because she spoke up.
Yeah. She
spoke back, and she did not give him power.
No.
So at that moment, she gave herself. She had power from within to face him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I think, you see the power because if she did not see that she has power, she would have walked away. But she did not let that happen. So she
didn't become a victim. She stood up for herself. She stood up for, and her first answer was, I'm not going to argue with you. It's a personal choice. Isn't that what you guys always say? Personal choice. You don't want to wear it? Great. I want to wear it. So let's just leave it at that. But he persisted, and he called her stupid. I mean, the worst thing you can do is call somebody stupid, I think, these days.
Looked like it hit a nerve, Pa.
Hit a nerve. So maybe that set me on this course. That was early in the week. And then all this other stuff, and now I'm like,
but be proud of your wife, because she stood her ground, and she continued to speak up.
So guide us back. How do we get past this moment of crisis? Is God the answer? Do we vent to God? Is God the only one that'll listen? Is God listening today to this? And he's saying, okay, I hear what you're saying. Go ahead, get it out of your system here.
All of us have our different relationship with God, and it's for us to assess. Are you at the child father, relationship where father, when you have a problem, you run to your father and say, hey, I need money. I need something. Right.
We tend to view it as a slot machine. Please, God, I'll say 3 prayers. Give me this. Yeah. Please, God, help me. Please, God, take this away. Santa Claus, all the letters to Santa Claus. I don't often, in a real relationship, I'm allowed to get mad. I've gotten mad at my wife, that's for sure. She's gotten mad at me, that's for sure. Like this week, shut up, quit doing all this stuff here.
And when you think about your wife, she's a partner.
Yeah.
And if you were in that situation, you would also be sticking up for her and to protect her, right? And so when you think about all these people that are vulnerable in our community, how are you, really, instead of adding fire, is how are we there for these people? Continue to protect them.
I want to feel in partnership with the people around me. I want to feel a community. I understand we all have different choices, and we can debate and discuss things without calling each other stupid and starting fights. But that seems to be either because it's gone on so long, or we're so overwhelmed, or it's become so politicized and ramped up, and so many people talk radio, media news is all about getting you angry and reacting, because otherwise, I'll tell you one other weird thing is that, so during anybody who knew me knew I was a rabid anti-Trumper, and I just would get, and people like, shut up already. I can't even talk to you. All you want to do is talk about Trump. And I go on, but this and this and this and this. And when somebody else got elected, anybody else got elected, I didn't care who, I turned off for a long time. And I felt this sense of relief. And I'm not the only one. Ratings for not just MSNBC, the more liberal outlets, but Fox and CNN all went down because people just dialed it down. There wasn't somebody every day stoking and provoking us and us reacting to it. It still has persisted in social media, but the cable news has seen a dramatic decline in ratings because people got less angry.
Yeah. So, for me, it goes back to communication that needs to be consistent when you're like, how come people are not listening? And that the communication is not consistent. And so they don't know where to listen. They don't know who to trust. And
we come back to this show. So is it trust God and send a letter to God? And can you be angry with God? That's the takeaway today. Can my letter to God be angry and say, how dare you?
Yes.
Whatever.
Yes.
I'm so mad at you. I can't believe you're doing this. You're stupid. I feel stupid. Everybody's stupid here. Yeah.
Yes, they can, because it's acknowledging their emotions. And I believe that that's what God would do.
And then would God zap back and say, I'll show you, how dare you raise your voice to me, young man? Or is he going to take the loving role that you suggested, which I think is the perfect answer? I've always thought to be a parent or anything is to say, I understand you're scared. I understand you're hurt. Calm down.
Think about a time when you are so angry at your kids.
Oh.
And yes, we kind of like, if you blew it off and like you went into a rage, of course, it takes time to heal that trusting relationship, right?
Yes.
But you responded in a different way where you're compassionate, loving, side, you made mistakes.
And you keep coming back. I mean, I've had I had one serious break with my daughter for a while, and I won't go into the details, but we didn't talk for a while, like almost a year, 6 months or whatever. And there was a lot of hurt and anger and lack of trust and everything. But we kept coming back. We didn't just walk away. Too many people today have walked away from churches. They've walked away from conversations with their neighbors. We've just walked away. Julie Roberts or whoever I just said, Jennifer Aniston's walking away. She's cutting people out of her life. We're walking away from each other. And I don't know. I understand the need to do that,
but we pray that they choose to come back if that relationship matters to them. It says that at this time, for my safety, for the safety of the community, and just for their well-being, that they don't want to fight. They don't want to go into that hole. So we don't know the situation where people are at. For example, I was at a gathering and then I asked bluntly, are you guys all vaccinated?
Right.
And, there's somebody there that said, no, I'm not vaccinated, but I am around. It's not because of the anti-vaxxer situation. It was more because I'm with somebody that's very vulnerable to the health. They have cancer. Right. And so I don't want to contribute to anything that causes harm. And so that's the reason why. So when I say, are you vaccinated? If not, I don't want to be in the same room. It's not because of the person. It's because of the choice that I have to make sure that I can be supportive of the person that I'm supporting that have cancer, that is vulnerable, especially to the health, that I don't want to add anything. So the reason why people are choosing not to take a break from that relationship, it is for their own well-being, and they have reasons.
So are people taking a break from writing letters to God? Is the anger go all the way up to him? How dare you? Why are you letting this? and I'm taking a break. Because a lot of people are taking a break from religion. I don't find more people becoming religious today. I find more, well, the studies prove it. First time ever, Pew's religion poll since the 1920s have asked people, just tell me, do you belong to some religion? We just want to track. Are you Baptist, you Catholic, you Methodist, you Buddhist, whatever, Muslim? First time ever, less than 50% of the people said, over 50% of people will do it the other way. Over 50% said nothing.
Organized. I think the
But you know what? I'd rather have people kind of take a break and say, you know what? This religion is not working for me.
It's not for a lot of people.
But they're going to go search for a religion that connects them to that relationship, that relational that they hope to find. So whatever they are seeking at this moment, it's seeking for that relational that means a lot to them. Because or else you become like a puppet, like you just show up, just like a machine, and there's no feeling there. And it's like that's sad to even go to church where there's no emotional connection. I rather them taking a step back and say, you know what, I need to seek for that place where I will have a connection, where they bring out the life of service for them.
I thought it was
because
curious.
In the end,
I'm sorry. I'm just curious that my own parish, my own Catholic church in South Orange County, is suddenly embarking on a community project, and they're encouraging people to come out and ask hard questions. Why are you here? What do you believe anymore? And I think I hadn't thought about it to this moment, but I think it goes to that thing. We're all sort of re-examining, what do I believe? Who am I? What do I belong to?
If your kids were to come home to you, they don't feel any connection. It's just a routine. Why would they want to come home? Yeah. And so it is that relational, coming to a church that, we want passion. We want that desire to serve.
Purpose, passion, purpose, connection.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes. And so they feel this intense love from God. People that have survived cancer, have survived near-death experience, you see them. There's another chance to live, another purpose. And they are out there to engage people and, evangelize the community, and they give their life over to a life of service. And so I think it just takes time for people to take a pause and say, what's meaningful to me today? What is my purpose in life?
So write that down. That's today's exercise. Go write that down, even if it's just stick it in a drawer. What is my purpose? What do I believe in anymore here? What do I trust? Do I trust a higher power? Do I trust myself only? Do I trust the community I'm in? Do I trust everybody, or am I looking at everybody's out to yell at me and attack me and get me and take my stuff? And I don't know where we seem to be.
You know what? Mm-hmm. If they have trust issues, that they don't trust anybody, then the question we need to ask them, who do you trust?
Exactly.
Ooh.
And start there.
Wow, that's deep. That's how you build trust, right? It's like, I don't trust this, I don't trust that, I don't trust the government, I don't trust CDC, I don't trust the pastor. Who do you trust? And start there. That's really deep.
And it's been a shrinking list.
Go find a nun.
Go find a nun.
Go find a nun
on the run.
Go find a nun on the run. Well, it's the whole purpose of this show is to start somewhere and reach out. And whether it's a Christian God or a deity of any sort, is there anybody listening? Is there anybody out there? Can you write a letter to the divine, whatever you think it, and does anybody receive it and listen and you get an answer? Is there communication?
I hope somebody write a letter to you, maybe our next radio talk show, that you could read a letter from one of our listeners, and really kind of sometimes, what does the letter look like or sound like? And
I think that's a whole nother discussion. On the very first show, we got into that. I don't even know how to write a letter. I don't write a letter to anybody. I don't physically write a letter to anybody. I might type a letter, might email something. So
No one
maybe
can read mine. It's not legible.
not legible. He's a doctor. Of course it's not legible. I don't know why
Yeah.
doctors can't have legible
Well,
handwriting.
if you email, it's fine. But invite anybody that that do write letters to God or just kind of have that relationship with God. Dr. Trent, you have your prayer group, and so invite somebody to, one or two people say, what would your letter to God be?
Yeah, I'd love to hear people's letter, because I'll tell you, we'll sort of end with this. I big history buff, and so I've read lots of letters through the years, historical letters, famous people have written. Jefferson and Adams wrote back to each other through their whole life. They hated each other, but to the day they died, when they both died on the exact same day, July 4th. How bizarre is that? At the exact same day, on the day the country was born, they both passed away. But through the years, they wrote letters to each other, arguing their points. I've read letters. There was that famous play floating around for years, Love Letters. And it's just a series of letters people have written to each other throughout their relationship. And it shows how the relationship has changed. Letters from war, typically. There's large collections. I've seen my dad's war correspondence and stuff that he sent back to his family. I'm scared. I'm happy. I'm frightened. I'm whatever. Letters used to be something that was a regular thing we did. Somewhere along the way, we got to snippets, to sound bites, to we don't write well. We don't compose well.
Because technology have dominated our lives. And so that, it's more of, how do you see good in both ends? I love the hybrid, taking the time, do that traditional. When you think about anybody over 70, those like our grandmothers, they love to write, and they send cards. Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's their
and
upbringing.
Good at it.
That's what they've learned. That's what they believe in. But you see young people today, if you're lucky, you will get one card from them.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference they use technology to express themselves.
But they don't express themselves well. Most of the technology is snippets, sound bites. It's fluff. It's light, or it's angry. It's knee-jerk stuff. It's not thoughtful. I don't find it. Most people's thoughts on Facebook, on Twitter, on email are not very thoughtful or deep. They're just quick, fast.
We have too much information, and we don't know how to, to them, they might think that's authentic, but to us, as we observe, is different. And
very shallow.
But to go back, Paul, after you're able to express yourself the last 50 minutes.
This is my therapy session. I'm sorry, I did turn into my therapy, so I appreciate you guys listening. Everybody else has long since tuned out, like my wife.
I'll bill for the therapy every Tuesday.
Yeah, we're gonna bill you.
Yeah.
But it goes back to why I asked you, how are you at the end? Because you had that space to express yourselves. But then at the end, it's like, how are you now?
Well, it always feels better to vent. I don't know why. It always feels better to let it out. So maybe we hold it in too long. Maybe we should go to God. God can take it. God can listen. God can do anything here. And maybe that's the source. Maybe that's the power, another power of writing a letter to God. Not just, we've talked about, creating a relationship. We've talked about belief and trust. Part of it is taking the effort to write what seems like a silly thing, a letter.
Just like how we allow you the space to vent, to share your feelings, the raw feelings. And if you truly believe that you have a relationship with God, that, as you have trusted us, the sacred space to really be true to yourself, do you trust God enough to create that space with you, to express yourself so that you can have somebody that can lift up the burden that you carry within you?
That's really what we're all hoping, isn't that? We all want to let go of this burden here. Well, you two never seem burdened. You just seem cheerful and hopeful all the time here. We all want to follow and get to that place.
Because we're co-collaborators.
I just rolled out of bed. So I don't feel burdened. I'm like, I just rolled out of bed.
I get angry. I get upset. But
I want to see an angry nun. I've never seen.
No, I have gotten angry. But for me, you can't just get angry for such a long time, where it becomes destructive. So instead of like putting myself into that hole, it's not going to help anybody. Is to like allow myself to heal, so that I can continue to do good.
Ooh.
All right, Dr. Trent, I've dominated the discussion perhaps too much today here. You've let me rant and share my raw feelings, but I suspect I'm not alone. I really think there are many like
You're
that.
not. You're not. You speak to a lot of people's emotions today.
Yeah. Yes, I'm just enjoying Paul's letter to God today.
That's really that's what this is. This is I'm a talker more than I'm a writer, so this probably is my letter to God. I haven't thought about that.
This is your verbal letter to God.
Verbal letter to God.
Yeah.
Memo. Yeah. This is my memo to God here. Take a message.
And we're his messengers. Say, get over it. No, just kidding.
Get over it.
Get over it. Get over it. Get the shot. Get over it. So let's do this again. Yeah. How about in 2 weeks, Thuy? Come on.
Remind me. I just got you. Yes.
Somebody has to remind me.
And I'll try not to be but in some sense, I try and be the voice of the audience. So I think that by sharing, if my feelings are reflective of others, then it's good to get this out in the open, because I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to hate people. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be fearful.
Yep.
I want to be hopeful.
Because you'll be like the rest of the others on the other side. And it's not going to be good for your health, for your family, and for the community.
And I keep waiting for somebody to lead me out of this path. We're all looking for the
That's why we're here. We're the enlightenment.
You're in.
And so
I think so.
You are the enlightenment.
You seem well, look at my background's dark, and you guys have bright light behind you here.
Yeah.
Us Vietnamese refugees are here to rescue you.
Yeah. Well, you say that, as a quip, but I will tell you that I felt for a long time that immigrants aren't the problem. Immigrants are the answer. You guys come searching for something, having gone through what we can't even imagine.
So I'm going to end with a blessing for you,
right.
you and all of the listeners.
That. We could use that today. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So in Thanksgiving for Paul, Dr. Trent, and all of our listeners who continue to be true to yourself, being honest to your heart, what's going on within you, all the restlessness, anxiety, fears, the unknown, that may God continue to be with you, surround you with God's love and healing presence, so that you can continue to be the messenger for God's people in our broken and wounded world. Amen.
Amen.
Take us out, Dr. Trent.
All right, guys, another great session today with Sister Thuy. We should just call this, I don't know, the nun and the doc or something.
Yeah,
right. You can.
Because you two, for a long time, you represented those images of people that if you're going to go trust somebody, I'm going to listen to the nun, I'm going to listen to the doctor. We don't have many places of trust to go anymore here. We're hungry.
But Dr. Trent, you need to up it your sense of humor. So
yeah, not so serious. He's too serious.
You're too serious.
I am, because this is like a prayer holy time here. So it's
no joking around.
Oh, yeah, wait. The rapture just occurred. You know why?
Why? And he disappeared.
Oh, see, there's the joke. All right. On that, we'll leave everybody. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you.
If you're feeling like me, don't give up. Tune in. Talk up. Tell us what you're feeling, because I sometimes I think we're all alone in this, and I think we need to feel together. Thanks. All right. Thanks so much here. Let's play the out music. Well, there you have it. Another example, maybe too raw and too real, of How confused we are. How we're searching for something. Maybe it just starts by letting it out as a letter to God. Right here in Orange County's only community conversation. Orange County's only OC Talk Radio. .net.